What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to Stacks Man the Numbers. It's Monday. We're doing another update video here on STEM Inc., our other smaller cap tech stock that we were keeping an eye on, that we were pretty pumped about. Kind of moving the opposite direction of SoundHound, but let's see what's going on. So STEM Inc., ticker symbol STEM, listed here on the New York Stock Exchange. Stock right now $2.91, down 8 cents, about 0.5% here on the day. As we see, we drop down to our all-time low support line here. As we see from the bottoms, connecting the bottoms there, and as we see, we broke it slightly down to that low fib of 255, hitting a low of 253, and then bouncing immediately back well above 3, and now we're sitting here at 291. So right now, in my opinion, the stock may encounter some short-term volatility here. However, in the long term, I have to say, I still like the stock. And I know that a handful of people may have gotten in very early here. I know I was looking at this whole descending channel here, and I was actually expecting a big rally up, perhaps, going into earnings. But as we see, we dipped down more than anticipated throughout the sell-off there in October, and then we had the run-up from 3 to 385 here with earnings coming out, and then, of course, we had the drop down. So I know a lot of people are wondering, what happened here. And as we see here, first of all, the bleeding, definitely an issue, right? Obviously, when you come in with that much more losses than expected, that is a big red flag. But more importantly, I mentioned that the main lifeline of these smaller cap stocks is usually the revenue. And as we see here, the company missed by a big chunk, posting still an impressive 133.74 million. Estimates were 180 million. And the reason why I say it was impressive is because technically, to date, oh yeah, well, there was that quarter back there where they posted 155. But other than that, that was the company's biggest revenue quarter so far. And again, we can see where the company came from, 40, 50, 70, 80 million. Now we're posting 100 plus million. And moving forward, I believe next quarter even more. Look at that, over $250 million in revenue expected for next quarter. Of course, that's going to come in about 3 months from now, looking at the end of February there. But this is why I was explaining they were expecting bigger and better things. And I know it was a little bit of a dice roll because, of course, this is more of a long-term play as opposed to a short-term play. However, again, they ended up missing and they ended up dropping. But because estimates were so high here at 180, that's basically what I kept telling you guys. That now the estimates are now the highest that they've ever been, up here at north of 180 million. And if the company was able to beat that number, the stock, I think, in my opinion, would have been off to the races and probably would have reclaimed 4 and even higher. And of course, unfortunately, that is not what happened. The company missed by about 25%. So, of course, it could happen next quarter as well, but they could technically just kind of continue to keep the stock down here about that 2.5 level, maybe even a little bit lower if they want to crash it down to this trend line here, 240, 237, and then have it rally a couple of days going into earnings again. But I still say long term, I do still like the company. And even though they did bring it down, I like to look at the big picture. And again, the losses are actually kind of scaring me a little bit. But also, it's the fact that the company now, $450 million market cap. I mean, they brought in almost a third of that just last quarter. And this is why I'm saying, in the short term with these smaller cap stocks, sometimes it is very difficult to call the absolute highs and the absolute lows. And of course, I know a lot of people may own the stock at like 360, 340, and now you're down a chunk right now. And this is why I say when we talk with these small cap stocks, you have to be able to remain stoic, keep your emotions on the sideline. You have to deal with the short-term volatility to take advantage of the long-term potential growth. And of course, they all don't work out. However, it is the backlogs, in my opinion, that are really helping out STEM from cratering, really, if you think about it. But a couple of things here. Was it in this earnings report here? Hold on one second. So yeah, the loss greater, right? Adjusted loss 49 cents per share, quarter end of September, lower than the same quarter last year. Company reported EPS of minus 22 cents. So big miss there. Revenue rose over 34% to over 133 million from a year ago. Analysts obviously expecting a lot more. There was something else. Look, 9 giving a buy, 6 giving a hold, 1 saying to sell. Wall Street's median 12-month price target for STEM is $7. But there was an article, multi-year clean energy deal with SB Energy. I know this was pretty big. STEM will become SB. Party did not close financial terms, so technically we don't know how much revenue they're really going to generate from this. But STEM will become SB Energy's preferred partner for the energy management system for 10 gigawatt hour of SB Energy's energy storage pipeline across North America. This alliance will further accelerate the deployment of lithium-ion and long-range duration storage in our portfolio and our ability to provide cutting-edge and cost-effective energy power structures to our customers. But there was also something that mentioned earnings flash. Nope. Here we go. So, as we see here, big loss, right? Losing 77 million. They made 133. It was a chunk below estimates. Record third quarter bookings of $676 million. Ladies and gentlemen, that is more than the current market cap of the company. I just want you to think about that for a second. Did we say it's a buy at 4, 385, 368? Are you down? Yeah, okay. I'll take all of that on the chin. No problem. Record third quarter bookings of 676 million. Market cap 451 million. Which again, goes back to what I said. You need to, with a company of this size, especially, still in their infancy, just now growing the revenue and expecting higher and higher expectations moving forward, now at this point, you have to deal with this volatility. But you have to follow the money. And again, could it go a little bit lower? Sure. But again, people are expecting bigger and better things. Not only with estimates of revenue moving forward for the next couple of quarters, but again, all the analysts basically maintaining buys and holds. 15 out of 16 analysts saying to buy or hold STEM. And again, they have an average price target, I believe it just said, of $7. Stock right now sub 3. So that's why, again, I know there definitely are some negatives here. But I do really think the positives may outweigh the negatives down the road. And we may turn around one day and, this son of a bitch may be at $7, $8, $10. And then you're going to say, wow, I remember watching all those videos down when it was, 380 and, 290. And I could have went, well, not all in, but obviously you're going to, say your shoulda, woulda, couldas at that point. And again, this is why I say with long-term investments, again, you may not get the perfect price. And if you own this $1 higher, obviously, if you have consistent income, you should be looking at this as an opportunity, not necessarily a negative, right? This is now a buying opportunity for you to lower your cost basis and, of course, accumulate a larger and larger position. Also, expect full-year adjusted EBITDA positive in 2024. EBITDA, again, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, amortization. Expect positive EBITDA in 2024. Guess what? We're at the end of 2023, right? So it's not like they're saying, oh, we need 2-3 years down the road. They're saying, boom, get ready for next year. So expect full year positive with no expectation of a need for additional equity issuance to achieve goal. So what does that mean? Technically, that means no more share offerings or stock offerings or new issuing of shares for dilution, right? That's what we saw with SoundHound. actually, if you recall. The stock was what? Maybe like 230, 220, right? Then they announced the offering. Boom, stock started to drop down. Actually, I don't know if those were the prices. Don't quote me on that. But I remember you guys were there and we spoke about it in the video, and that's what I mean. Right? Some companies, they have to do new stock offerings to raise a little bit of capital. As it says right here, they are expecting full year adjusted EBITDA positivity in 2024 with no expectation of a need for additional equity issuance to achieve that goal. And why do they feel so positive saying that? Well, it's because of this right here. That's what it is. And of course, new deals coming in with companies like SB Energy. Revenue growth poised for strong momentum. Q3 2023 bookings of $676.4 million, 2 times guidance for the quarter. Solar asset performance management backlog up 41% year over year. Service revenue growth expected to accelerate. Working capital intensity expected to decline. Engage with supply chain partners, including U.S. domestic manufacturers, with expected double-digit declines in costs and improved payment terms. So this is why, again, we may have a couple of fundamentals that are negative. I do still feel, in my opinion, that the positives seriously outweigh the negatives. Look at this number here, booking $676 million, up from $222 million. This time last year. That is growth. Record contracted backlog of $1.84 billion at the end of Q3 2023, up from $817 million at the end of Q3 of 2022. Even here, record contracted storage assets under management of 5 gigawatt hours at the end of Q3 2023, up from 3.8 gigawatt hours at the end of Q2 2023. Annual, right? Contracted annual recurring revenue of $87.5 million, up from $61.4 million, 43% increase at the end of Q3 22, and sequentially up from $74.9 million. So basically, again, they want to beat the stock up because of the current bleeding, or, you know, it looks like a big miss here on current revenue. And again, that is fine. That is fine. Me personally, you know, just for the record, I do not currently have a position in STEM. And I know a lot of you may say, oh, well, that just, you know, takes you off the hook. Well, it doesn't. It doesn't. Because I want to be right more than I'm wrong. And I want to try to show you guys, perhaps a different way to analyze a lot of these situations than you may see online with a lot of these other people, you know. So I bring more of a little grounded approach to it, but also at the same time, again, anytime I make a video like this, right, and back here or whatever 360, I say, oh, I like STEM in my opinion, I think it's a buy. What that means is if I had cash on hand, I would have bought it at 360 or 380. So again, I know technically on paper, I may not be involved with this stock as you are. However, if I had the extra cash on hand, I would have been involved and we'd all be down together. And again, I'm saying that even if I was currently down, whatever, 25, 30% or whatever it is, in my opinion, I would probably consistently add to the position down here as they trend it downward again, going into next quarter's earnings. And again, I know earnings are a dice roll, but based on the backlogs and all the positives that we just read, even again, if this company misses this estimate and they take it into the low twos, I would most likely buy more shares and just continue to dollar cost average down and to accumulate as many shares as I could. Because again, people aren't seeing the bigger picture, and everyone's just worried about the short term. So again, the pricing and timing may have been a little early, may have been premature. They came in with a big miss. But even this quarter here, with estimates up to almost 256 million, if this company posts like 220 million, a lot of people may hit the sell button because they're viewing that as a negative. However, you and I should be seeing steady, stable growth, even though they're missing estimates. Because even coming in with 220, and again, coming in here with a big miss on 133, again, seeing where they came from before that, sub 100, down there at 60. And again, this technically was the biggest quarter on record here of 155 million. So that's why I'm saying, even though it may come in rocky and some of these numbers may be light, to have an estimate of up to 180 and have the company missing by a chunk, could be viewed as a negative. But again, I'm looking at the backlog, I'm looking at the longer term. And that's why even here, again, I'll say at 256 million, first of all, if the company actually comes out and beats these estimates, stock's probably going to explode back up to like $5, $6. But also, more importantly, again, even if they come in with 215, 228 million, and they miss that number, people would not be, hold on, I'm trying to say like three things at once here. People will initially probably view that as a negative and hit the sell button when they don't realize that now the backlogs are coming to fruition. Revenue technically is probably going to consistently keep increasing moving forward, quarter over quarter, year over year. And of course, even if they miss and post 220 million, that would still be the most revenue that they brought in a quarter since inception. So that's why I'm saying, yeah, technically we could say there's negatives, but also at the same time, I personally do like STEM. And, if you don't want to add here at 289, and you want to wait until after the ball drops to see if you can get, 2.5, sub 2.5, sure, that's entirely your own prerogative. But again, I just like doing these update videos for you guys, and especially showing the positives in a lot of these situations that a lot of you are hype about. Usually when we talk about stocks like SoundHound or STEM Inc. here, it gets a lot of views, it gets a lot of attention. That tells me that not only are a lot of people looking for this content, but also more importantly, a lot of you are probably involved in the content. So to have these, consistent updates like, every month or so, and then we go back and we kind of rehash like the handful of positives and the handful of negatives, and hopefully the positives consistently outweigh the negatives. So, we all agree that it's still basically a long-term hold. This is what I like doing. But of course, like I always say, if there's anything you want to add, if there's something I'm not seeing in the technicals, if there's a story that hit on STEM that I didn't bring up during a video, please, by all means, let us know down in the comments section below. That's what the comment section is for. And basically, I'm going to end it there. Because even looking here at stock charts, we're not seeing much. I'm seeing that it is being held below the mid-Bollinger Band, basically going back since August when we had that big market sell-off. But again, it could remain down here just based on last earnings report. But in my opinion, like I always say, if I liked it at 350, 360, I love it down here at 280, 260, 250. RSI on the daily, a little below 41, right? Basically mid-range, doesn't tell us much. MACD relatively flat, doesn't tell us much. Switching over here to the weekly, we can see that we hit, looks like that 30 benchmark, had a little bit of a pop-up, and then we just kind of came back down and just kind of flattened out. RSI sitting here a little over 33 on the weekly. Definitely more room for growth, and hopefully that was the bottom as of late, and they do begin to U-turn this around, especially if markets just keep climbing for the heck of it. So hopefully they take STEM with them and we can get this back above 3 maybe in the short term for any of you who may not believe in the stock. And you can obviously sell in the low 3s and try to get out for a smaller profit or a smaller loss, I should say. But MACD again looks relatively flat there on the weekly. Not really seeing much. Let's check the pivot points real quick and I'll let you go. As we see, pivot point here on the weekly, 319, looked like it was really trying to hold that level there, and obviously got above that going into earnings and then dropped down, but hopefully it just slowly begins to climb back up there, because again, as bad as those revenue and EPS numbers may have been for the last quarter, that backlog is pretty impressive. And this is why you can't, if the backlog is there, the clients are there, the orders are there, the revenue is there, you cannot completely crater the stock down. So that's the positive that you have also. Like, yeah, it could flash crash down to $2 or whatever. But again, based on the backlogs and the future revenue growth, you should view a situation like this down at $2, let's say, as a huge buying opportunity, in my opinion. But of course, anything can change, and situations change from quarter to quarter. But that's why we try to look at it every couple of weeks or every month or two, and keep an eye on it and make sure we're not buying a company that's going out of business. But as we see here, support level on the daily 282. And again, that looks like it's right where it stopped. Then we had the flash crash and regained and even bounced off of that level now twice. So very curious to see. That looks like the key level to hold right here, 282, moving forward here in the short term. And then, I mean, it could very well drop down to 226. But again, like I said, if I like it at 360, I like it even more down at 280. And if they bring it down to 230, I'm going to like it even more. But if that does happen, then, we'll do an update vid and we'll take it from there to see where it might go. But I'll end it there. I'm talking too much. Once again, Stocks by the Numbers. Thanks for stopping by. Random Steam Friend. If you like the video, thumbs up. Algorithm helps me get more eyes on the channel. And, of course, subscribe to the channel. That is our handshake agreement. That is how you help me help you. But more importantly, moving forward, like I always say, I understand that markets are rocky and volatile and uncertain. I want to wish all of you success. I hope everyone makes a couple of dollars. Thanks for stopping by. I'll catch you in the next one.